Tonight, we drift back in time to a world long buried beneath centuries of silence, to the year 1325, in a quiet village nestled beneath grey skies and thatched roofs. Here, life is hard, the kind of hard that wears you down before your 20s. But it is life nonetheless, and tonight we walk gently in the footsteps of those who lived it. This is Drift Off to History, where we bring calm stories for curious minds. The world is silent, save for the soft creaking of old wood and the distant murmur of roosters. You are lying still, beneath a heavy wool blanket that smells of smoke and soil. The air is cold, not the sharp bite of winter, but the quiet chill that settles before the dawn. You breathe slowly, eyes still closed, nestled in the dim hush of a one-room cottage. You are a peasant in medieval England, and the year is 1325. The first thing you notice is the ache, dull, familiar, always there. Your limbs are stiff from yesterday's work, from a mattress of straw pressed into uneven ground. A thatched roof hangs above you, the faintest draught whispering through its frayed edges. Your family sleeps nearby, parents, siblings, maybe a cousin or two, all curled together for warmth. Somewhere in the shadows, a goat shifts its weight, a hen stirs beneath a bench. The room you live in is shared not just with people, but with the rhythm of life itself. Outside, the sun has not yet risen. The village lies in hushed greys and blues, cloaked in mist. There is no clock to wake you, no alarm. Time is kept by the sky, and by the distant toll of a church bell echoing across the hills. It chimes faintly now, low and slow, calling not just to prayer, but to work, to hunger, to habit. Another day begins. You stretch beneath the blanket. The coarse fabric scratches your skin. You are young, but already tired. In this world, age is measured not by years, but by wear, by the strength of your back, by the calluses on your hands, by how many winters you've endured. And today, like every day, will be hard. But for now, in this sliver of morning stillness, you are simply here, breathing, blinking, rising slowly into the waking world. You sit up carefully. The floor beneath you is packed earth, worn smooth from years of footsteps and spilled water. In one corner, a faint puddle glimmers. The thatch above you has leaked again. You place your feet down, skin meeting the cool dampness of the floor. It smells of straw, wood ash, and livestock. Not unpleasant, just earthy, real, alive. There's no privacy here. Your mother's already stirring, wrapping a shawl around her shoulders. A child whimpers in the shadows, nudged gently back to sleep. The baby, your youngest sibling, nestles deeper into a cradle of rags. Someone coughs, someone sighs. The room wakes slowly, like a fire kindling to life. You step outside briefly, through a wooden door that sticks in its frame. The air is colder now and the sky is pale with early light. Your breath hangs in front of you. The village is still asleep. Smoke curls from a chimney down the lane. Somewhere a dog barks once, then quiets again. You make your way behind the house. There is no bathroom, only a bucket or perhaps a ditch, used quietly and quickly before anyone passes by. The cold stings your skin, but you are used to this. You wipe with a handful of straw, then return inside, careful not to wake the hen. There is water in a clay jug by the hearth. You pour a little into a wooden bowl, dip your fingers in, and splash your face. It is bracing. There is no soap, no mirror, only the feeling of cold water against warm skin and the soft scrape of a cloth against your cheeks. Your clothes are folded at the foot of your sleeping place. A simple tunic, worn thin, rough wool, a belt of rope. You dress in silence, layer by layer, wrapping yourself against the chill. The fabric itches. You scratch without thinking. The fleas are always with you, but this too is ordinary. Soon the fire will be stoked. Soon the first pot will be set to boil. Soon your hands will find tools again, but for now you are dressed, awake, and quietly preparing for whatever this day might bring. The hearth glows with a slow, reluctant flame. Your mother crouches near it, stirring something thick in a blackened pot. A wooden ladle clinks against its side. The smell is humble. Grain, perhaps turnip. This is breakfast, a pottage of leftovers, boiled again and again, thickened by time more than ingredients. There is no table, just a bench, a few stools, a patch of floor. Your father sits hunched near the fire, sharpening a small blade. Your siblings pass bowls, their eyes still heavy with sleep. There is no ceremony here, no blessing, only habit. The first meal of the day is not joyous, but necessary. You hold your bowl, the warmth of it sinking into your hands. The pottage is salty and bland. You chew slowly, a piece of barley, a shred of cabbage. It is filling, if not pleasant. There is a hunk of bread, hard as a stone, passed around in silence. It is torn, not sliced. You soften it in the stew. You eat what there is. There is no milk, no honey, no fruit unless it is in season and has not spoiled. The drink is small beer, weak, warm, and safer than the water drawn from the stream. You sip from a shared cup, the taste flat and bitter. This meal will carry you through long hours in the field, or at the forge, or along the roads. You eat not to delight, but to endure. This is the fuel of survival. And when the bowls are empty and the pot scraped clean, the day begins in earnest. Your body, though weary, is ready. You rise. You step into the grey light outside, and the village, like you, begins to move. The tunic clings to your shoulders as you fasten the belt. It is made of coarse wool, dyed with plant roots and worn threadbare in places. It does not fit perfectly, it never did, but it is yours. The seams are hand-stitched, uneven, patched more than once by your mother's careful hands. Beneath it, a linen shift hugs your skin. It is clean, or as clean as the washtub allows. You have no other outfit. What you wear today, you wore yesterday, and will wear again tomorrow. The fabric is stiff from old soap and sun-dried air. It scratches as you move, and already you feel the prick of fleas beginning their morning crawl. You scratch your collar, your forearm, the back of your knee, all without thinking. It is just part of being alive. If you're lucky, you have shoes, leather, cracked and uneven, fastened with a simple strap. But most days, barefoot is easier. The leather chafes and gathers puddles. The ground is rough, but familiar. Stones, mud, brambles. They've shaped your souls since childhood. A cloak hangs by the door, woolen and heavy. It smells of rain and smoke and earth. On colder mornings, you pull it over your shoulders, pin it with a wooden clasp, and draw the hood low over your brow. There is no mirror, no glass to show you who you are. You learn your face from puddles, from reflections in metal, or from the way others look at you. Your appearance is a distant concern. What matters is warmth, movement, and protection from wind and thistle. Your body is an instrument of labour. You dress it with that in mind, and as the sun finally crests the hills, washing the village in muted gold, you step outside, wrapped in the scratchy armour of the everyday. The earth is soft beneath your feet, damp from the night's rain. Mist hangs low along the path, curling between crooked fence posts and tangled hedgerows. You walk slowly, the cold biting your fingers, the breeze carrying the scent of smoke and wet hay. The village is awake now. Doors creak open, chickens wander, a cart groans beneath the weight of firewood, children chase one another through puddles. Dogs bark lazily from shaded doorways. Life unfolds not in haste, but in rhythm, familiar, predictable, steady as the toll of the church bell overhead. Houses are clustered close, built of timber and daub, with straw roofs sloping low. Each one leans a little, bent by time and weather. Outside them, families tend to small gardens, growing leeks and onions, cabbage and beans. You pass one such patch, the soil tilled roughly by hand, the plants bowed with dew. A woman bends low to check for slugs. A boy gathers eggs in a wicker basket. You nod to neighbours as you pass. There are no greetings beyond a glance, a murmur, perhaps a gesture toward the sky to acknowledge the weather. Words are sparse here. Life is not lived through conversation, but through shared burdens. At the village edge, the road forks. One path leads toward the fields, another toward the woods. Another winds down to the stream, where women will wash clothes, kneeling on stones, beating linen with smooth paddles. You take the road that leads to work, whatever work this day demands. The wind shifts. You smell dung, burning peat, and distant bread. The church tower rises in the near distance, the tallest structure for miles, its narrow windows staring out like tired eyes. A priest's voice murmurs from within, lost in the clatter of hooves and chickens. This is your world, humble, hard, and held together not by law or wealth, but by routine. And so you walk, steady and quiet, into the day ahead. The fields stretch out in uneven patches, green, brown, and gold, depending on season and crop. You arrive with others, men and women, young and old, each carrying a tool, a hoe, a scythe, a spade. The soil here is hard and stubborn, full of roots and stones, but it must be worked. The Lord's land demands it. There's no choice, no delay. You begin. Hands to earth, back bent low. You weed, dig, scatter seed, turn compost. Every motion is familiar, learned by watching, repeated by necessity. There are no breaks, only moments between tasks. The sun rises higher. Your tunic clings to your back, damp with sweat. Your muscles burn. A blister splits. You wrap your hand in cloth and keep going. No one comments. Everyone is hurting. Around you, the sounds of work. Spades striking soil. Voices calling out over wind. The grunt of oxen pulling a wooden plough through a stubborn patch of clay. A woman beside you wipes her brow with the edge of her sleeve. A boy stumbles, then steadies himself. An elder groans softly, but does not stop. Midday brings a pause, not for rest, but for bread. You chew slowly beneath the shade of a tree. The loaf is rough, full of husk and grit, but filling. You drink again from the small flask of beer, warm now, but still safer than the stream. Then back to work, always back to work. There is no concept of retirement, no dreams of ease. Life is measured in harvests, in lean winters and plentiful autumns. Your hands are your worth, your endurance, your only wealth. And as the sun begins to drift, painting the sky in soft amber, you feel the day settle into your bones, a deep aching tiredness that hums beneath your skin. The seasons rule your life as much as the sun, the church, or the Lord. You do not own time. You borrow it from the weather. In winter, the cold creeps into your bones. The fire never burns quite hot enough. You wear every piece of clothing you own, wrapped tightly, hands tucked beneath your arms, feet numb against the floor. Frost gathers on the inside of the cottage walls. You sleep huddled with others, sharing warmth, breath turning to mist in the early light. Water freezes in the pail. Your joints creak like the old oak door. And when spring comes, it brings more than just flowers. It brings mud, thick, clinging, endless. It pulls at your boots, your skirts, your cartwheels. Lambs are born. Fields must be sown. Rain falls for days without pause, soaking the world in grey. Summer is not kind either. The sun bakes the soil into dust. You sweat beneath your wool, but modesty forbids removing it. The air swarms with flies. Your skin stings with bites. You swat them away, half in habit, half in hope. There is no ointment, no remedy, just itching, swelling, and patience. And then comes autumn, a brief reprieve. The harvest arrives. You gather what you can: beans, barley, turnips, oats. Your fingers are stained from the soil, your back bent from the weight of baskets. There is a flicker of relief, a full larder if you're lucky. But you already know winter waits watching. There is no season without hardship. Each brings its own hunger, its own ache, its own weight. But you endure, because that is what your life demands, and what it rewards, quietly, with another dawn. Water, in this world, is not your friend. The stream runs clear, glistening beneath the sun. It looks safe, inviting. But you've seen the dead rat floating there. You've watched the neighbour pour out their chamber pot upstream. You know better than to drink it unboiled. Instead, you rely on small beer, weak, warm, brewed to keep illness at bay. Children drink it too, not because they enjoy it, but because it is safer than the stream. Wine is for nobles. Wells, if they exist, are precious, sacred, but they too can turn foul. Washing is rare, not out of laziness, but out of caution. Bathing too often is believed to open the pores, to invite disease into the blood. You wipe your face with a damp cloth. You rinse your feet now and then. A full body wash is reserved for holy days, or illness, or childbirth, and even then, done with care. Communal bathhouses exist in some towns, quiet places with warm tubs and murmured conversations. But they are also watched closely by the church, which sees them as nests of temptation. Many have been shut, others left to ruin. You scratch often. Lice and fleas are part of life, unwelcome companions that no one can truly escape. You see them on the priest's collar, on your brother's scalp. You share them without shame, just as you share a roof or a spoon. Cleanliness is not measured in perfume or polish. It is measured in absence, the absence of sores, of fever, of sudden sickness. You do what you can. You boil your rags. You sweep your floor. You wash your hands when there is water to spare. And you pray softly that today the water does not turn against you. As the light fades, the church bell rings again, slow, solemn, ever steady. It marks the passing of the day and calls all within earshot to prayer. Your faith is not a choice. It is the rhythm of your life, the breath beneath every hour. You kneel beside your bed each morning. You bow your head before meals. You cross yourself before sleep. You do not question why. You simply do. The church is everywhere, in your calendar, in your customs, in your fears. Every holy day is a holiday, though rarely a restful one. There are feast days, fast days, saints' days, solemn days. Days when meat is forbidden. Days when confession is required. Days when joy must be silenced. And days when joy must be forced. Inside the church, the air is cool and dim. Candles flicker against stone walls. The smell of wax, wood, and incense settles like dust. The priest speaks in Latin, a language you do not understand, but the tone is familiar, a warning, a reminder, a story. You do not read the Bible. It is not meant for you. It is held by the priest, interpreted by the clergy, spoken through their mouths alone. But you believe, because to believe is to belong, and to doubt is to risk far more than judgment. It is to risk isolation, even punishment. Hell's not a vague idea. It is described often and vividly. Fire, darkness, torment. It is not meant to frighten, but to keep you walking the narrow path. You carry it with you, like a shadow behind your soul. And so you kneel, you pray, you murmur the words you were taught as a child. You offer your small sins to the sky, and ask quietly for strength to survive another day. If you are a woman in this village, your day begins earlier and ends later. Your world is stitched together from threads of duty, thin, fraying, endless. You rise in the dark to feed others. You boil water, knead bread, swaddle babies, mend cloth, and then you go to the fields. Your work is never only one thing. You harvest turnips with a baby tied to your back. You spin wool while watching the pot. You soothe your child as you stir the stew. There is no rest, only rotation. Your place is understood, spoken softly, enforced silently. You do not own land. You cannot inherit. Your voice in the village is quieted by custom. But within the walls of your home, you are the keeper of order, of warmth, of nourishment, of survival. Marriage comes early, sometimes as young as 12, often by 14. Not for love, but for land, for alliance, for family ties. A dowry is exchanged, a vow is made, and then life carries on, as before, but heavier. Childbirth is both miracle and threat. There is no midwife in every village, no clean tools, no guarantees. Women die in childbirth, children are lost, and yet life continues. You carry the grief in silence. You rock the baby that lived, while remembering the one that didn't. If you are unmarried, you are watched. If you are widowed, you are vulnerable. If you are loud, you are whispered about. If you are wise in herbs, or skilled in healing, the word witch may pass from mouth to mouth like smoke. But still you endure. You hum as you scrub the floor. You braid your daughter's hair. You fold the tunic 100 times, stitching love into its seams. And though your name may never be carved in stone, your hands shape the world. Violence lives in the corners of the village, not always visible, but always near. It is in the bruises that are never spoken of, in the punishments that happen behind closed doors, in the sharp glances exchanged when ale flows too freely. There is no real police. Justice, if it comes from the Lord's steward, or from the priest, or not at all. Crimes are punished publicly to deter others. A hand removed for theft, a tongue pierced for lies, a body placed in the stocks, on display beneath the sun. Accusation is dangerous. A whisper can grow into a sentence. If someone claims you cursed their cow, and others believe it, you may find yourself tied to a chair, floating on the river, waiting to sink, or not. Fights happen, over land, over insults, over nothing at all. A broken jug, a jealous look, a debt unpaid. Men brawl in the mud. Sometimes one does not rise. The village sighs and life moves on. Wars come and go, but even when they're far away, their shadows fall on your doorstep. A lord demands men for his levy. A brother vanishes into battle. A tax is raised to pay for armor you'll never see. Violence is not constant, but it is never far. And so you keep your voice low, your eyes lowered. You learn the art of avoidance. You guard your family, your hearth, your peace. Because here, survival is not just about growing food or enduring the cold. It is about walking quietly through a world that can turn sharp in an instant. The sun has begun to fall now, casting long shadows across the fields. You feel it in your spine. The bend, the ache, the fatigue that hums like a lullaby. Another day nears its end, and still, you are here. But not everyone is. Death walks beside you in the Middle Ages, not with fanfare, but with familiarity. It comes for the old, yes, but often for the young. A cough becomes a fever, a scratch becomes a wound, a bad meal becomes a farewell. There's no medicine that truly heals, only prayer, herbs, and hope. Infant graves line the churchyard. So do the graves of mothers. The plague has passed, or it hasn't. Sometimes it lingers in coughs and swollen necks. Sometimes it returns without warning. There are no hospitals, no doctors, save for the barber surgeon who pulls teeth, drains blood, and prays it's enough. Pain is endured. Death is accepted. Not welcomed, but understood. And yet, in the face of this constant hush of endings, life is not grim. It is quiet. It is sacred. Every meal shared, every story told by firelight, every step through misty fields, these are treasures. You do not measure life in years. You measure it in seasons survived, in bread shared, in children held close during a thunderstorm, in songs sung softly in the dark. You sleep tonight knowing tomorrow is never promised, but also knowing that today you lived. Night falls gently across the village. The sky turns from silver to slate. A chill rides in with the dusk, brushing across rooftops and creeping through the cracks in every door. The fields grow still, the fires burn low. You return home beneath a sky pricked with stars. Inside, the hearth glows faintly. The stew pot simmers with tomorrow's meal. Your family gathers close. There is no lamp, only flame. No music, but the whisper of logs settling into ash. You sit beside your sibling, or your child, or your friend. You share silence, not because there is nothing to say, but because words are not always needed. You remove your cloak, stretch your arms, rub your aching knees. The blanket that warmed you last night welcomes you again. You lie down, surrounded by the breath of others, soft, steady, familiar. Your eyes grow heavy. You listen to the wind against the wall, the distant howl of an owl, the rhythmic creak of timbers above your head. Your thoughts drift not to grand ambitions, but to small, sturdy hopes, a better harvest, a healthy lamb, a warm spring morning. And in this simplicity lies something beautiful. You lived a day not gilded in luxury, not softened by comfort, but woven with resilience. You rose in the dark, worked under the sky, and found meaning in the ordinary. You survived. And in this world, that is everything. So now, let go of the day. Let the ache in your shoulders fade. Let the hum of the past become a lullaby. You are safe. You are still. You are home. And as sleep takes your hand, the medieval world fades gently behind you. A soft dream, wrapped in straw and stars.